Mastery. As with everything, there is a Mastery workbook available for you to follow along, and it'll be available in the download or the description section of this video to download. And the first couple pages of this is the introduction to it, your, table of contents, and then it walks through QMatic startup. We went ahead and did the startup so you don't have to wait for the machine to boot up, but basically you're going to turn the power switch on your box. Then you're going to come around, you're going to depress the green button. You should hear a thunk. So when you depress that green button, you'll hear kind of a chunk. And then we actually do not turn the Q24 off at all. We control that with this box. So once you hear that thunk with that green button, the QMatic or the Q24 will pop up, and then you should see your light on your computer screen flash to white or show or red, could be red. If it's red, then push the power button, turn it on. But if it flashes to white, that means it's powering up. So we went through, that takes a few minutes. So we went ahead and did that. The other thing it talks about on page 4, I think 3, talks about oiling your machine. Somewhere in here it talks about oiling your machine. And whatever. Somewhere in here it talks about making sure you oil your machine. Do that. So clean and oil your machine before you start stitching every time. So about every 2 bobbins you want to stop, take the bobbins out, clean and oil your machine. That'll just make much smoother sailing for you when you do all this stuff. Okay, so now we're going to actually get into the QMatic. So when your computer screen opens up, your QMatic icon is right there. You're going to double tap that. We are not going to use the mouse application. You have to do it quickly. Boop, boop. There you go. So that'll pop up, and then it's opening, and there you go. So you have 3 different segments of your, well, 4 really, segments of your screen are showing. So this is your quilt right here. This is where your quilting area is going to be. This is your toolbar, so that's all your different icons and tools and things. And this is your design center. This is where the designs that you've chosen are going to display. Now, that's not all the designs you have, but it's the designs that you've chosen. So we'll get into how you choose and unchoose and whatnot in a minute here. And then down here, you've got more control tools down here. So you will notice that the very first thing it says, because we are hooked up to QMatic, so the drives are on. So this is our X and Y belts, are these white belts here, and we are on, so our, oh, my mind just blanked. The trolley thingy that I can't remember the name for right now is connected into the X and Y axis, and you can tell that by the fact that it's really not moving. Okay, so the very first thing you're going to see is it's going to say create a safe area. Oh, here it says, here's where it says page 5, before beginning a project, clean and oil. So anyway, so we're going to review all of these icons in a minute, but I want to make that go off, and that won't go away until we say okay. So what it's going to do now, see where it changed directions? Now it says, please move the sew head to the bottom right corner. Oh, wait a minute, go back. Please move the sew head to the top left corner. So on the screen of your Q24, it says set. So you're going to move your machine to the top left area of your quilt and set it. And then it's going to ask you to move it to the lower right. So you're going to pull that to the lower.
So you're setting a design area?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Now if you look on your screen, you see where we have the red line going on? So we just set our sewing area right there on the screen. And then that got that box out of there. So now we can talk about some other stuff. Okay. Let's talk about all of these icons. One of the things you should have gotten with your machine is this laminated cheat sheet that tells you what all those different icons are for. But we're going to review them right now. So where the arrow is in the top left, right there, that is select. So that just means you use that to select something.
So it's highlighted,
Correct. Right now it means
so I can go over here.
No, that's not what I mean. So let's just let's review the tools. Okay, the very next one over with the plus sign is add a design. The one to the right of that, on the top, there's two different things. The top one is copy. So if you have something that you like and you hit that copy button, it'll make two of them on there. And then underneath it is a trash can. So anything you have highlighted on here, if you hit the trash can, it'll delete it. The micro, whatever that thing is center zoom. And then the one to the left of that, or right of that, is zoom in on the top and full view on the bottom. So if you had your entire quilt up here, you could full view it. The one over the top is zoom in, the bottom is zoom out. On your second line, the one with the box with the arrows, that's your quilt size. So if you were to touch that, it would give you a little box to fill in the dimensions of your quilt. The one next to that is markers. So that's to set just clear it, yeah. There you go. That's to set markers, and we'll get into what all this stuff does in a little bit. The one to the right of that is to realign your safe area. And then the little hand is grab and drop, and that you use your sew head to do that basically. And then your sew options, that's the sewing order. So that 1, 2, 3, so you're gonna number which order things get sewn in. The white and the black button with the arrows, that's reverse sew. So like if you were doing an edge to edge and it came across this way, instead of coming back for the second line and going that way, you could reverse sew that one so it goes here and then back.
Would you do that? Do you do that often? I mean, is that?
I do that every time I do an edge to edge. So that otherwise it goes over here, you cut thread, then you have to bring it back over here. Then it goes over here, cut thread, you have to bring it back, and it goes over here. But if you reverse it, it will go over and back and over.
So do you have to hit, every time you come back to this end, do you have to touch that to go back?
No.
Once you hit this, then it just automatically
So these are your
it.
design tools. So what you're doing is you're creating the design and giving the design the commands that you want it to do. Once you've got your design done and figured out, when you hit the go button, everything you've programmed in there is now going to happen.
Okay.
Okay, so this button right here is rotate. So let's say you had a quilt on point, you wanted to put a square design in it. When you put the square design in, it's going to come in like this. If you want it to go on point, you have to rotate it, right? That's what that's for. Flip is a mirror image going top to bottom. That flip is mirror image going side to side. Mask is that one right there. Mask is a really cool thing where if you want your quilting to look like it's underneath something or it ends at something, you can mask off an area that it will tell your design, I don't want it to do this design in here. The next one is boundary. Let's say you have an uneven block. Maybe you've got a, I don't know, it's off by ½ inch. But you want to quilt a design in there and you want to make that design fit the block. You can go in there and set boundaries for that block and then morph your design to fill it so it looks like it's a square block. Yeah, the next one over is trim. So that's if you did an edge to edge. If you've got stuff that sticks out past your design lines, you're going to have to trim them off because it's going to say, hey, that's outside your safe area. We're not going to stitch that. That's what that's for. The bottom row, those are undo and redo. And the next one, that's where you do your edge to edge. So when you choose a design that you want to do edge to edge with, you're going to get one segment of it. So you would hit the plus and it'll just connect it and go across the screen until you filled your screen. If you put too many on, you could use the minus and take one off. The next one is multiply, which is self-explanatory. And the next one is connect on the top and unconnect on the bottom. So on that edge to edge design, if you had one going this way and one going that way and one going this way, but you had not connected any of them, it's going to go over here, tell you to break your thread, go down here, tell you to bring up your thread, go over here, tell you to break your thread, go down here, tell you to bring up your thread, go over here. If you group it, it's going to go do 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 and you don't have to mess with that. Okay, align is exactly what it says, to align. And then resize is the very last one over there, okay? If you look down at the bottom down here, this is your set safe area. So we did that to start with. That's where you get that little box and it says move your sew head to the top left and to the bottom right. You've got Easy Glide. Easy Glide is something that's built in that lets you set the how tight it is to move your machine when it's on QMatic. Micro move is exactly what it says. So instead of you trying to move it with your hand, you can use this and just tiny little increments you can move. Art and Stitch is the design program that is included with this. Art and Stitch is where you can get fancy and import stuff and create stuff and combine stuff and do all kinds of crazy stuff. This is your speed control right here. Controls how fast you go. This is the boundaries of your quilt if you've got it set. This is your start, pause, and stop button. And here's your nudge button. If you want to nudge anything in any direction, you can use these buttons right there. Okay.
So it's a lot like the embroidery.
It is an embroidery.
Yeah.
It's an embroidery program. If you think about it, it's exactly the same thing as an embroidery program. Okay, let's take a look at the design center. So there's 230 quilt designs already built in to QMatic without having to go into Art and Stitch. And you can find those if you touch that plus button. Poof, there they are.
Oh.
So when you see this, if you look up here, you can, if you know the name of a design, you can type it in right there. Or you can just leave it open and just scroll through. You can use any of these. So if I said I want to look at feathers, and feathers, come on, feathers. There we go. Enter. What did I? Oh, I.
Wow, it started.
I just searched for death arrow. That's gonna be a hard one to find.
So F-E-A T-H-E-R.
Okay, and then hit enter. Over there, right there. Just like on a regular keyboard. There you go. So there's all the feather designs that are included in this collection.
Now and then it's in that Art and Stitch that you can get more designs or.
So Art and Stitch is where you create stuff.
Okay, so like you could put in a USB with all kinds of designs, like the.
Yeah, so you could put it, and some of the designs on here were put in with a USB stick. So let me see if I can find those for you. Lisa has, go away. How do I get rid of that? There. Okay, Lisa has loaded some things onto ours already. Like that right there did not come with this machine. And you can tell by the scale of it. This didn't come with it. So Lisa has loaded a couple of things onto here already. That one's loaded.
Okay, this one crowded.
Yes. I said, no, because that's another one of those. But Leaferama too. Hers are mostly named E2E stuff. Is what she's imported. So like that.
So like we just got that Tulip Pink quilting
The CD.
CD that we could put into here.
You absolutely could.
Oh, cool.
There, see, she just downloaded that one. That's a wine and glass bottle. So yes, we can import stuff and we can put it right in here into our design section. Let's go ahead. These are the designs we have out. Let's go ahead and clear those. Okay, so if you wanted to select some designs to work on, what you would do is double tap anything you're interested in.
Can I double tap this? Tulip Pink?
Go ahead and try it. It's not searching right at the moment. There you go. Match all tags. Okay, so those are all Tula Pink feathers. These are Tula Pink or feathers.
Oh, look at that one.
I have stitched that out. That's really,
That's cool.
it's dense stitching. Okay, so now let's go back to search. Okay, so go ahead and choose something that you like. Just double tap it, and that's a quick double tap, and it shows over there. Choose a couple more, and maybe another one. Okay, now close that, and lo and behold, there they are. They show over in your workstation. And, oh, I didn't read the directions. It actually wanted us to put these in there. Oh, well, what are you going to do? We never follow the rules in here. We like our own stinking designs, man. Okay, that's 6, that's 7. Now I'm trying to keep my pages in order. Okay. Okay, so on your tool center, I think we went through and we talked about all the different things that those do. So I'm not going to retell you all of that. 8, 9. So these are all nice descriptions for what all of those things do. 10, 11, and then edge to edge, connect, unconnect. That is 12. That is 13. And sewing options, we already talked about that. That's 14, this is 15. Okay, so let's do a masking tool exercise.
All right.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and add one of those selections that you chose to the quilt. So double tip it. There you go. Double tap. There you go. Okay, so now that just randomly puts it on your screen. So if you touch that design, it should turn red. Okay, now you should be able to touch it again and move it. There you go. Put it wherever you want to put it. And what we're going to do is we are going to mask this area. Okay. So we've done that. You are going to select mask. And mask is the pentagon.
This
That
one right here, right?
Okay, now you got a lot of options in there for things that you can do. So you can use your screen to do the mask, so you can touch things on the screen with your finger, or to be more accurate, you can use the sew head. So what you would do is you would take the needle and you would close in on the area that you want to mask with the needle. So let's go ahead and select sew head. You got to be right in that circle. I don't know why I did that. Okay, so we want to click on create region. So in creating a region, what you're doing is you're drawing basically an area that you're going to quilt within. And the region to remove is, where do you want the stitching to be? Do you want it outside of the shape you're drawing, or do you want it inside the shape you're drawing? For our exercise, we're going to put it outside the shape. We're going to put it outside, which means we're going to remove the inside.
Oh, okay. So you would hit the inside then.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to come over here to the sew head. And if you look at the front of the sew head, you're going to see you've got different commands on there. And there's a set button.
Okay.
So let's just find another thing we didn't talk about, but if you look on the screen there, see the little plus mark in the lower left or lower right hand corner? Go ahead and move your sew head. Look what happens to that little plus mark. Just,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
so that tells you right where you are. Okay, go ahead and move it again so you can see that. Now push it up. Okay, so that tells you where you are at all times on your design. Okay, so go ahead and create an area. So you're gonna, I don't know, use this right here.
Okay.
And maybe don't be even about it. I don't know. Each point you get to, you're gonna hit the set button. Okay, now move to another point. Okay, and you know what? We put the design over here, so come this way. And maybe come over to the far corner here.
Okay.
Okay, hit set, come down. Sure, hit set there. And then go back to this corner. And hit set there again. Now look on your screen, look what you've done. Oh. So you've drawn an area and you said, I don't want stitching in this area. So if we were to walk over there and hit the green button, which we can do, let's go ahead and walk over there and hit that green button. It takes out all the stitching for that area.
Oh.
So when would you use this? So remember when we did the Santa Claus quilt?
Yeah.
With the big Santa Claus
Right.
panel? And he had blocks that he
Right.
was appliqued on. I used that function to go around the Santa Claus and make sure that I did not stitch designs on top of the Santa Claus.
Oh,
So I had the exact same design in every block, but when the Santa Claus was appliqued over, I masked it out so it didn't stitch on my Santa Claus. That's what that's for.
Oh, that's neat.
It is neat. It does cool things. And you can make all the example in the workbook. It's got a really crazy shape in there. You can do all kinds of crazy shapes and mask inside or outside so that you can put your quilting right where you want it and not get it where you don't. Okay. Let's look at page 18. So we've already kind of done this, but setting the safe area. So let's go ahead. First of all, let's touch the blue and then hit your trash can. Let's delete that design. Okay, so we're back to square one there. All right, I'm gonna show you the clutch belts because on page 18, it's talking about the clutch belts and setting the clutch belts. So
what does the clutch belt do?
I'm gonna show you. So if you see on here, you see how it's difficult to move this because it's attached, right? If you look right here, this little thing, can you see it? That little thing has a little metal rod down here and 2 rods on the top. And when it is in the locked position, it clamps on the belt. If I turn it off, it's not connected anymore. So if I turn this off, so now I can free motion, I can move everything, nothing is clamped on. This, all I do is turn it into 90 degrees, and now it's clamped on, and now it doesn't move that easily anymore. Okay.
Okay. I remember doing that, the old long arm that we had years back that you wanted to...
Channel locks,
yeah.
Channel locks, which is kind of the same thing. So here's a channel lock on this machine, is this one right here. So you do, if you wanted to do straight lines, either side to side or front to back, you have channel locks that will prevent your machine from moving in any other direction than the plane you have it set in. So you can just do straight, 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 because it won't go this way. If you set one, if you set the other, you can go like this, but it won't go this way.
Yeah, I remember
Now,
doing that.
it moves cleanly when you do that. You can move it as fast as you want because it's not on the belts. When you have these connected, it's on the belts, so it will not move. Well, I mean, it will move, but it's much tighter.
It's tighter.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go through the exercise setting the safe area. So on the lower left-hand corner, down here, that's your safe area thing.
Okay, that's what we set before.
Yeah. Now it says, please move the sew head to the top left corner, and go ahead and just choose a size. Don't go by the table line, just choose something. Pull this up. There you go. There you go.
was trying to put it underneath. Okay.
It won't work very good if you put it under.
Top left corner.
Top, wherever you want to put it, just
Alright.
make a, there you go, that's a good one.
Now
Okay,
set it.
Set. And now it tells you on the screen, take it to the lower right-hand corner. And that's a good place. And then go ahead and set it. And there you go. Now you've got your space again. Okay. Touch that. You've got the, so that's your safe area. We just did that. Okay. So this is 17, that's 16. Okay. So if you need to realign the safe area, so you've just done this, we're on page 19 now. We're going to talk about realigning the safe area. So after you advance the quilt,
Okay.
you can reset the safe area altogether, or since you know that you've already got the size chosen correctly, assuming we're doing a quilt, right? You can simply realign it so that you can get it lined up with the previously stitched portion. And that makes sure that your spacing is, so let's say we're doing an edge to edge, right?
Right.
So we did 3 passes, or 2. We did 2 passes. And we've advanced the quilt, so we rolled it up. You're going to do 2 more passes. How do you know where to stop rolling so that your spacing between your rows 3 and 4 are the same as the spacing between 1 and 2?
Okay.
Okay, so that's what you do the realign safe area for. So to realign the safe area, you advance the quilt, which we can't right now because we don't have a quilt on, but pretend like we did. You realign the quilt, baste your sides if desired. I don't baste the sides of my quilts very heavily at all, because I find that if you stitch it down too securely, it gives it no room for movement in and out with the density of your stitching. So if you got real dense stitching and it's going to want to pull in a little, if you've basted it too tightly, it won't be able to move in, and you'll get some weird ripply stuff going on. Anyway, okay. So you would select the Realign Safe Area tool. Do you need a cheat sheet? Cheat sheet.
So it would be
Right.
this one?
2 over.
This one?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Reposition them.
Okay, now you get 2 options. You can select reposition on screen, or you can select drag the safe area outline to a new position. So if you select, you can select snap to point. If you select reposition on screen, then you're going to touch this and pull it with your finger. If you select snap to point, you're going to move the sew head. So you're going to move this and put your needle where you want it and then set it. I think the more accurate of the 2 things to do would be to snap to point, because then you can take your needle and you can see right where it is,
Okay.
as opposed to trying to do it on the screen and figure it out.
Right. It's
So-
almost like pinpoint placement.
It is exactly like pinpoint
Yeah.
placement. You can use your needle to do that. It's exactly like pinpoint placement. So there you go. I mean, that's pretty simple. We haven't stitched anything, so there's nothing for us to
Yeah.
really to realign
line
with.
up with.
But if we had a design on there that we had stitched out and we rolled it up, then we'd snap to point. You'd take your needle over on your sew head. You'd line it right up to where you want it to start again on the next round.
So you could, is that where you would use the nudge in that to
You
get
could,
it to
yes.
right where
You could.
it needs to be?
Yes. And then you would hit that green button, and that would set it so that your repeat coming across is going to be just in the right place, which is one of the hardest things to do. Okay, I think that wraps us up on this particular one. So we have started up, we've set a safe area, we've learned how to morph to take some patterns out, and we've learned how to put our second pass into the right place with realigning our safe area. Those are some important things to know how to do. So we'll catch you next time, and we will learn easy glide and micro move and grab and drop and all kinds of cool stuff.
This is fun.
Yes, it is.